Hello, my name is Ben JDev, and welcome to my first devlog for a game I'm currently working on, Chromatic Shift. Chromatic Shift is a roguelite shooter game about mixing various colors with unique abilities to create builds that suit how you want to play. Yes, I know, a roguelite slash roguelike, the genre of every single indie game in the universe currently. However, for me, it was just my first Unity game and I was never really expecting it to ever release, but hey, look at me now. I've been working on it for just over a year, on and off, and I'm getting to the point where I just want to release a finished game and not put too much time into obsessing over features. However, there's one thing that my game currently does not have that a lot of other roguelite slash roguelike games have, which is procedural generation of some sort. At the moment, the game only has pre-made levels which end once you reach a certain number of points. I want to keep this level system, however, I also want to make a procedural game mode alongside, which gives the player multiple gameplay types, sort of like a story mode and a separate endless mode. So, creating a procedural generation system should be easy, right? There are many generation types that I could choose from. However, for my game, I think a simple dungeon system will do best. There will be a set number of rooms that the player must progress through, defeating enemies, getting upgrades, and then once all these rooms are defeated, the player must make their way to the boss room, where they can defeat the boss and move on to the next dungeon stage. As for the look and design of each dungeon stage, I think it would be easiest to use the already established levels in the story mode as a reference point. There's only 3 levels at the moment, and 2 of them look pretty much the same. However, as I add more levels, I'll also add them to the dungeon mode. Right, so actually implementing it into the Unity project now. I started by making a new scene where this game mode will take place. And then I made a script where all the logic for cell creation and connecting will be done. However, I'll just stop myself right there because I made it about this far, and then I realized, wouldn't it be funny if I put myself through some pain? More of it. So the new plan is to make the room size and positioned completely random, instead of this grid-like idea we had before, because I think that's kind of boring. So yeah. Yes, I know, very smart for someone who has no idea what the hell they're doing. However, lucky me had a moment of clarity and pure smart, intelligence, and overall greatness. Yes, that's right. I took an idea from someone else. The first step of this new plan was getting some random positioning of the rooms of the dungeon. This actually used a pretty hacky but smart technique, where the rooms use collisions to push themselves away from each other, until eventually they are all evenly spread around. Now, the Unity physics didn't do this very well, as some colliders got stuck in each other for some reason, so I just manually did it myself by checking if they're overlapping and pushing them away from each other. Now, this was easy enough, but to actually make this a dungeon, the big rooms have to connect to each other. So apparently to make a good pathway system in my dungeon, I needed to use this algorithm, Delaunay triangulation, I think that's how you say it. Luckily there was already an implementation of this on GitHub that I could borrow. Yep, thanks to this guy, No Life, and all the other contributors. Anyways, after making my code compatible with the algorithm, it all worked, and I could connect all the rooms in the most effective way. Now just with a few checks, I can spawn in some pathways that are up and down, left or right, or an L shape depending on how the rooms are positioned. And now, after some more goddamn Unity crashes, it all works, and we just gotta add some nice looking floors and walls, and now it's a very nice, simple looking dungeon. At this point, the dungeon isn't actually playable, it's all just for looks, so we need some functional walls to keep everything contained. I wish it was as easy as just adding colliders to all the walls. However, when the final dungeon is generated, all the room's entrances and exits are blocked off by these colliders. At first, to solve this, I used a strategy where each room keeps track of any intercepting walls, and disables them when the player is in the room. This worked in some scenarios, but it also led to problems where the player could pass through walls in more complex situations. So I had to think about some possible other solutions. Wait! What if I was able to create colliders at runtime to fit all the walls? Yeah, no. Why would I do that? Do you know how many different scenarios I would... Yeah, so I chose that idea. So I thought, maybe ChatGPT could speed up the process and help me. Let's just ignore that. However, I did realize that my dungeon walls only have one shape, rectangles, and they don't rotate at all. So there's only a few scenarios where two rectangle walls can collide with each other. I could split walls into multiple parts depending on where another rectangle collides with it. I found that there were only 14 possible types of rectangle collisions which could be encountered in my dungeons. 4 where the rectangle split into one part, 6 where it split into 2 parts, and 4 where it split into 3 parts. So I coded in the checks for when two rectangles collide with each other, and it was pretty easy. It just took a very long time to do. I added this code to all the walls in my dungeon and everything worked. Somehow. There is one problem though. There is over 400 walls in the level now, and that is hella inefficient. So I added a quick little culling system which only renders the rooms and pathways near the player, and boom, runs much better now. Right now there's no actual gameplay, so it's time to add some. And the first thing I'm gonna do is UI. Yes, before actual gameplay, UI. Because I'm a procrastinator and UI is cool. So first, I quickly made a minimap which just shows the outline of the dungeon and an indication of the player. And I also made a really sophisticated loading screen, which definitely doesn't fake any part of the loading process with random pauses. But hey look, it's rainbow. Woo! Okay, fun stuff now. I began by making the player teleport to the starting room when the map loads. I also made it so the main rooms spawn enemies when the player walks in, and locks itself until the enemies are defeated. After that, I started transferring some of the gameplay features from the main story game into the dungeons, such as upgrade coins. I also realized that since the dungeons are technically infinite, the player is going to have way too many points. So I needed a way to let the player use these extra points, and also give them a reason to conserve some. So I spent hours and hours planning how to create a new gameplay system perfectly designed for this problem. Yeah, I just took the upgrade system and boom, it now costs a certain amount of points depending on the rarity. Apart from this, I also wanted some more RNG gameplay elements, so I made some pickup upgrades which are randomly scattered around the level, which open up the coin upgrade menu. However, these ones do not have a cost. And yeah, that's about that for gameplay at this point in time. I think it turned out pretty well. The last thing to do in the dungeons is some decoration, as right now they don't look very nice. So boom! Lights, some nicer looking walls, and some random objects scattered around the rooms. It doesn't look perfect, but it will do. Oh, and also some minimap icons for the start and boss rooms. And finally, adding a quick play menu to the main menu. In the end, I really liked the way the dungeon generation turned out. It is quite simple gameplay wise, however, I found it fun just running through the random rooms, getting upgrades and seeing how far I can get. I'll probably add some more features to it over the next few months before the game releases. However, for the time being, I think it's good enough, and I'm very tired from doing all of this in just a few days. I've also got to work through some other features for the final game. Other than that, thanks for watching. Let me know about any feedback or ideas you guys may have for the game. And if you would like to, you can wishlist Chromatic Shift on Steam, link in description. Anyways, see ya!